So far on this, you should have been able to split up your intervals. You should have noticed that from 1 to 30, there were 30 sections. We have to split that up into a group of equal intervals. I went up by groups of 5 or intervals of 5. You could have gone up by intervals of 6, intervals of 10. That's fine. Whatever you choose, that's fine. Then we need to split those intervals into our histogram. You have to figure out what's your frequency for each of them. So look, count out how many are in each of those. That's your frequency chart. Then you need to create your histogram. So starting from 1, I'm going up to 5. And then I'm going up to 10. It's my next highest number. Then my next interval ends at 15. Interval after that ends at 20. 25. 30. So I should have my 6 intervals, 1 to 5, 6 to 10, 11 to 15, so on and so forth. My frequency goes up to 5, so I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is my frequency. Oh, that's Riley, do you have a question?
Why are we going to get worksheet?
Well, third section. Where's the practice? All right. Now you can fill in your chart. So my 1 to 5 is a 1. So I can make that a height of 1. My 6 to 10 is a height of 1. 6 to 10 is also a height of 1. 11 to 15 is 3. So I'm going to go up to 3. 16 and 20 is also 3. Next I have 5 for 21 to 25. And the last thing I have 26 to 30 is 3. And that is my histogram. I should look it up. So, depending on your intervals, that can change what your histogram looks like. So if your intervals, if you went up by 6s instead, or if you went up by 10s instead, that's fine. Your frequency or your interval and your histogram will just look different, and that's okay. Are we okay with creating the frequency chart? All right. So today we're going to talk about something called a cumulative frequency chart. So a cumulative frequency chart is just like a normal frequency chart, except it has a third column. So the first two are normal, just like our frequency charts that we talked about before. The only difference is it has this third column. So this third column is your cumulative frequency. So what that means, it's the frequency of that number, that frequency, plus any additional one. So for example, if the frequency above was 3, it'd be 3. But if this one was 5, this frequency would be 5 plus whatever was ahead of it. So the total frequencies that fell below this is 8. If this one was like 7 for whatever reason, this one will be 7 plus every additional one that was before. So 7 plus 8 is 15, and that would be your cumulative frequency. So we can create this the exact same way you can a normal frequency chart, and then your frequency is just you start with your first one, and then you add the next one, and those are your cumulative frequencies, and then grows over time. So the last one should include all of them because it should have everything below it. So we'll practice making one of these. So just like you would a normal frequency chart, we have to find that largest and smallest number. So we have 1, and we have 15. So 1 to 15. I think that's a total of 16 numbers are in between, or 1 to 15. That's total 16 spaces. I need to split my interval up to encompass those 16 numbers. So I'm going to try to split up into 4 groups. 16 can split up into 4 groups of 4, so I'm going to start to go 1, 2, 4. Those are 4 numbers. 5, 5 to 8, 9 to 12, and then 13 to 15. So I split those 16 numbers up into 4 equal intervals. Are we okay with that?
Sure.
From here, I have to figure out what the frequency is for each of those. 1 to 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 to 8, 1, 2, 3. 9 to 12, 1, 3. And our last one, we have 1, 2. Oh, I forgot to do that. That I should get an extra 1 on the first one.
So, your grammar.
All right, so for the cumulative frequency chart for this, for the yeah.
So use text in the group.
All right, put your phone away. For the cumulative frequency for this, your first cumulative frequency is just going to be every frequency before it. So your first one is just going to be the same. It's going to be 5. Because there's only 5 numbers that fall between, that's less than 0. Now I'm moving up. I want to look at what is the cumulative number of data I have below 8. So it's going to be these 3 between 5 and 8, also the ones that are below that. So 3 plus 5 gives me 8. Moving up, I have to figure out what's the cumulative below 12. So it's 8, my total that I had before, plus 4. Or I could think what's 4 plus 3 plus 5. Sorry, I was the wrong number there. So that's a total of 12 numbers. Then the last one should be all of them. So I'll take 12 plus 3, which gives me 15. So once again, the cumulative is all of the previous numbers before it. So we had 5. Your frequency that was in 5. And then we're looking at all the numbers that's including this next one that's before it. So 3 plus 5 is 8. Our next one, we think, okay, including 4 and everything before it, 4 plus 3 plus 5 gives you 12. And then you do the last one, 3 plus 4 plus 3 plus 5, 15. Are we okay with the cumulative and how we calculated that? Are you still confused, Bradley? Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, I want you to try to make one of these. So, this one looks a little bit different because it has points on it. So you can determine how many frequencies or how many intervals you want. So when you determine how you want to split these up, because they have 1 decimal in each of these, it's okay to split up by decimal places as well. So your smallest number and your largest number are 2.1 to 8.1. So when we think about that, the range between these two is 1. Yeah, like 6.1 or 6. Wow. So you have to split 6 or 6.1 into however many semi-equal intervals you can. So it's okay if you want to split by like 0.5 or something like that. It's okay if you want to go by whole numbers, that's fine. But just knowing with that decimal in there, you're able to start splitting up by decimals as well. Does that make sense? So see if you can create this frequency table and see if you can add in that cumulative frequency on the end, that new thing we just added. All right, so for the cumulative frequency chart, so you should have been able to create your intervals. So I'm making my intervals. Oh, it's not working. Nope. No, my computer's dying. All right. So sorry about that. So I did my intervals of 2.1 to 4.0, 4.1 to, sorry, that's 6.0. And then lastly, I did 6.1 to 8.1. All right, so then we can look at the frequency of each of these. So as we see from 2.1, then we got 3, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in that first group. Our next frequency from 4.1 to 6.0 is 1, 2, 3, 4 in that group. And then our last one, we have 6.1 to 8.1. So 1, 2. Is that all of them? Yeah, okay. So if we were to calculate the cumulative frequency, that first frequency is always going to, or the first cumulative frequency is always the same as the frequency because there's no numbers less than it. So our cumulative frequency is always the current frequency and all the additional numbers before it. So if there's nothing additional before it, it's just going to be the same. So it's 7. Now our next one, we're adding 4 more numbers into our group so far. So we started with 7. Now we're adding 4 more. So now we're at 11 as our cumulative frequency. Add an additional 2. And now we're at 13, so that would be our cumulative frequency chart that we've used so far. All right, so we're going to learn one last thing today. If I can get this to click. And that is how to calculate the mean from a frequency chart. The thing is, the mean can only be calculated from special types of frequency charts. So if we look, previously in our frequency charts, we had intervals in all of these areas. But here we only have specific values. So you can only calculate the mean from a frequency chart if it doesn't have intervals. It can be done kind of with intervals, but it's harder and your mean is less accurate. But the thing is, if we think of how to calculate the mean, calculating the mean, that's where you add everything up and then divide by the total numbers that you have. So if I think this says I have 19 4, or I have 4 19s. So that would be 19, 19, 19, 19. Then I have to think, okay, how many numbers do I have here? I have 5 20s. 20, 20, 20, 20. All right, this is a lot. This is not. So there's an easier way. If I think about it, the frequency tells you how many of those numbers we have. 19 plus 19 plus 19 plus 19. That's the same as 19 times 4. 20 times 20, or 20 plus 20 plus 20 plus 20 plus 20. That's 20 times 5. So we take that value, multiply by the frequency, and add these all up. That can give us our number we can use for our mean. So we can do 19 times 4 plus 20 times 5 plus 21 times 6 plus 22 times 2 plus 23 times 2 plus 24 times 1. We add all of these up, we get 416. But rather than having to do 19 plus 19 plus 19 plus 19 plus 20 plus 20 plus 20 plus 20 plus 20, we can do this and now make it much easier for us to work with. So that gives us 416. Now we have to think, how many numbers do we divide by? It's not going to be 6 numbers because that's only your values. It's going to be how many of those, each of those values we have. So we need to divide it by 4 plus 9 plus 6 plus 2 plus 2 plus 1, which gives us a total of 20. And that gives you 20.8. And we will continue this more